Hey guys, my name is Brad, and in this short video I'm going to start zooming out a little bit so we can start to connect some of the dots and create a bigger picture of what is happening around the world right now in this global pandemic. So first of all, you'll see on the screen I've got an article up from Bloomberg, and the headline reads, Pfizer boosts forecast for vaccine sales to $33.5 billion. Now that works out to be $92 million per day in revenue, almost $4 million per hour. I don't think anyone can argue or debate the fact that the vaccine industry, pharmaceutical industry, is a cash generating machine. And I'm going to start connecting some dots to see who these companies are involved with and also start to pull apart some of the reasons behind why the information is being so heavily censored and there is no fair or equal debate on both sides of the fence. Now, before we get into that, let's just have a quick look at who Pfizer is. So if you go to Google, you type in who paid the biggest criminal fine in history, you'll see that Pfizer comes up number one. Pfizer received the largest criminal fine in history. They paid out over $1.3 billion. Pfizer has been a habitual offender, persistently engaging in illegal and corrupt marketing practices, bribing physicians and suppressing adverse trial results. Since 2002, the company has paid out more than $3 billion in criminal convictions. Sounds like a pretty trustworthy company, right? Now, let's also keep in mind that you can't sue Pfizer or Moderna if you have severe COVID vaccine side effects. The government won't compensate you either. So they have zero liability. They are authorized for emergency use only. So just keep that in mind. Let's have a look at Pfizer shareholders. So the top 10 owners of Pfizer Inc. Vanguard Group comes in at number one. We then have SSGA Funds Management, number two, and BlackRock Fund Advisors, number three. These names are going to become very familiar as I continue to go through a wide range of companies that are involved with this global pandemic rollout. So let's look at the 432 million shares that the Vanguard Group owns. At an average price of $46.75 per share, that works out to be $20 billion that Vanguard has invested in Pfizer. Let's look at AstraZeneca shareholders. There's a familiar name, the Vanguard Group, number one once again. And look who's number three, BlackRock, number four, SSGA Funds Management. Johnson & Johnson, surprise, surprise, Vanguard Group number one, SSGA, BlackRock. Now let's look at Google shareholders. So Google, the search engine that I'm using to find this information, who owns Google? Well, number one shareholder in Google, the Vanguard Group. Number two, BlackRock. Number four, SSGA. How much are these 21 million shares worth in Google? Well, at $2,885 per share, that works out to be $62 billion that Vanguard owns in Google. Let's have a look at Facebook just for interest. Well, look at that. Vanguard Group, number one shareholder in Facebook. Number four is BlackRock. I wonder if that could be contributing to the massive amount of censorship that is happening on Facebook right now. Now take note that Facebook also own Instagram, and I personally have been massively shadow banned on both Facebook and Instagram whenever I share information that goes across this big vaccine agenda. Interesting, hey? How much does the Vanguard Group own of Facebook? 172 million shares. The price of Facebook, $382. That works out to be $65 billion that Vanguard owns in Facebook. We're starting to see a little bit of a common theme here, right? A little bit of conflict of interest. Let's move on. Twitter shareholders, Vanguard Group, number one, 66 million shares. BlackRock, number two. SSGA, number three. Now let's have a look at Microsoft. We all know who is the biggest shareholder of Microsoft, right? Good old Bill Gates. Look at the number one shareholder of Microsoft, the Vanguard Group, 579 million shares in Microsoft. That works out to be a value of $173 billion. BlackRock number 2, SSGA is number 3. Let's have a look at Apple. The top shareholders of Apple: Vanguard, Berkshire Hathaway, I'm going to get into Berkshire in a minute, Warren Buffett's company, BlackRock, SSGA. Let's have a look at Amazon. Jeff Bezos, number 1, the Vanguard Group, number 2, BlackRock, number 4, SSGA. Let's have a look at the media companies, because we all know that the media have been on a mission to promote the big V, and they have been censoring any information that goes against this big V agenda. News Corp, massive corporation owned by the Murdoch family. They run Channel 9 News among many other media outlets. BlackRock number 1, SSGA. Now I had a look at this, I thought it's interesting that Vanguard is missing. So then I clicked on this link. Look at this, they just left it off their top 10 list. Number 1, Vanguard Group. So Channel 9 News, one of the biggest agenda pushing outlets in Australia, 60 Minutes and all the shows that push the propaganda. Number 1, Vanguard Group. We'll see here, News Corp Australia is one of Australia's largest media conglomerates, employing more than 8,000 staff nationwide and approximately 3,000 journalists. Now, I'm sure those journalists are completely unbiased in giving a fair account of the current state of world events. Let's go on to America. Who is majority owner of CNN? Warner Media. The ultimate owner of CNN is AT&T. The CNN parent company is Warner Media. So let's have a look at AT&T shareholders who own and operate CNN. Vanguard Group, BlackRock, SSGA. Are we seeing a common theme here? What about Fox News? Often they oppose CNN views on American TV. Well, Fox News, the Vanguard Group, number 1, once again. It's all an illusion. They're just playing a different narrative, playing off against each other. What about Disney, who also own Marvel? Vanguard Group, BlackRock, SSGA. Just look at some of the movies that are coming out. How much they use Marvel to drip feed some information about the bigger picture of what's going on. Let's have a look at the biggest companies in the world. We've already covered Amazon, we've covered Apple. Number 8 comes in Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. Let's look at the shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway, Vanguard Group, SSGA Funds Management, BlackRock. And look at number 4, this is really interesting. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's portfolio has Berkshire Hathaway as its top holding with 50 million shares, valued at over $11 billion. I found this article quite interesting. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway invests in Pfizer and other drug makers. Berkshire Hathaway is making large bets on big pharma companies. The billionaire investors conglomerate revealed on Monday that it had built up sizable stakes in several pharmaceutical stocks during the third quarter. Berkshire bought 3.7 million shares of Pfizer, among many others. Another article, here's exactly why Warren Buffett loaded up on big pharma stocks. Let's have a look here. Their relative bargains. And look at this, number 2, they're cash cows. Moo! Well, at $33.5 billion in revenue per year, I'd agree with that statement. It's a bloody cash cow, right? Especially with these booster jabs that they're releasing every 8 to 12 weeks, possibly even more frequently. And who knows how long that's going to go on for. We'll get a new variant, a new strain, the virus will mutate, and then boom, there we get a whole nother round of boosters available for everyone to enjoy. Now let's have a look at the good old fact checkers. The fact checkers have come out in full force, and isn't it funny that fact checking didn't exist until the truth started coming out in the world? Well, let's have a look down this website, factcheck.org, where they reveal who their funding partners are. So we have Annenberg Foundation, we have Facebook, $389,000 per year. Then we have Facebook again here, another $30,000. We have Google, good old Google, $4,400. Now let's dig a little bit deeper. Annenberg Foundation, $406,000, their number 1 contributor. Who owns the Annenberg Foundation? We'll scroll down a little bit. Oh, it's old mate Bill. The Annenberg Institute received a $999,000 grant from Bill and Melinda Gates. Wow, this is just incredible. Now you might be wondering as well about food and drinks that contribute to some of the biggest disease in the world right now. Let's look at Coca-Cola, the fast-track drink to diabetes, obesity and heart disease. Number 1 stockholder, Berkshire Hathaway. Number 2, the Vanguard Group. Number 3, SSGA. Number 4, BlackRock. Let's have a look at Pepsi. Oh, surprise, surprise. The Vanguard Group, BlackRock, SSGA. What about McDonald's, you might be wondering? Company that has probably led to the most amount of heart disease and obesity in the entire world. Our data shows that the Vanguard Group is the largest shareholder with 8.7% of shares outstanding. So let's do a quick summary. So they basically own the pharmaceutical companies, they own the media outlets, they own a lot of the most popular fast food outlets. Let's think about what else might control humanity. Movies, right? They use movies and Hollywood to plant seeds with predictive programming. So let's have a look at that. Lionsgate Films. Lionsgate Films are responsible for films such as Divergent series, The Hunger Games. For anyone that's seen those movies, how similar are the scripts to what is now playing out with this communist dictatorship, this social credit type system. Lionsgate Film shareholders, Vanguard Group, number 2. So they've got Disney, they've got Marvel, they've got Lionsgate, they've got Warner Brothers. And these top companies are also related as well. So you type in who owns Vanguard Group, the number 1 stockholder of Vanguard is BlackRock. If we click on Wikipedia for Vanguard Group, you'll see they have over $7 trillion in global assets. Now I encourage everyone to dig a little bit deeper and find out the people who are behind the Vanguard Group and BlackRock. I'll leave that rabbit hole up to you. Before we can start to create change on this planet, we must understand the game, the matrix that we are part of. People, planet, and all living things are at the bottom of this pyramid, and then there's a very carefully designed structure and pyramid that funnels all the wealth and all the resources up to the top of this pyramid, which is the financial elite. These are the people that own Vanguard and BlackRock, the ruling families of the world. And everything has been created to serve them. Thousands of people at the top of the chain literally control, deceive, and manipulate billions of humans across the planet. It's time to start connecting the dots and seeing the bigger picture of the game that we are faced with right now. All we have to do is stand up, and their little game is over. Please share this video with anyone that has an open mind to zoom out, connect the dots, and realize the bigger picture.
Stand up! Fight!